Hello everybody, this is Julia from Craft Room Adventures. Thank you so much for joining me today. This time I have a card featuring the adorable Elephant Friends stem set from Hello Bluebird. On the top of the screen you can see some leaves that I colored previously. I wasn't sure what kind of a scene I wanted to make, but I didn't end up using them, so I didn't include the coloring in this video. I'm coloring in the elephant using the color 904 of the Zig markers, and I will also be adding some 201, which is pink haze, to the insides of the ears and to give them a little pink cheek. Now I'm using the same color on the other elephant, just placing the color where I think that it will be a bit shadowed, and blending them out with my water brush. For my bunny, I'm using number 64 oatmeal. Sorry, I went a little out of frame there. Now I'm just adding a second layer of the 904 color. Just had to look that up. The color is called Fog Gray. Doing the same thing for my second elephant. Also, in the end you will see me adding two more images. The bumblebee from Fly a Kite by Hello Bluebird, and also one of the birds from the Banner Buddy stamp set from Hello Bluebird. I created my scene and I really realized that I needed a bit more, so I colored them as well. The colors I used are also on top of the screen, which is 120 bumblebee yellow for the bee and the 303 for my bird. I colored them off camera because I forgot to turn it on basically. Now I'm just adding the pink hue to my elephants with a 201 pink haze marker. And that finishes up the coloring. These are the parts I die cut. I used the gallery frame number 2. I also die cut a hill using the Grassy Knoll dies, and now I'm just starting the ink blending process. I'm using some, well, there it goes flying. I'm using some Mowed lawn distressing, and then I'm gonna blend some peeled paint over top of it. This ended up being a bit darker than I intended, but I think it was still fine for the scene. Now I'm blending squeezed lemonade, dried marigold, and abandoned coral for my background. Just back and forth until I'm happy with the result. For some reason on camera the blends look sort of uneven still. I think it's because in some areas the ink is more wet than in others, but in person it really looks quite smooth. And there we go. Now it's time to assemble my scene. I die cut the gallery frame number 2, and I die cut the center. I die cut the whole thing, of course, 3 times, but I'm only using the center part of the frame and layering 3 layers of white cardstock on top of each other For the outside frame, I just used a single layer and adhered it directly to my background, making sure it's moved a bit there, making sure it's as straight as I can get it. Now I remembered that, as usual, I forget to stamp my sentiment, so I thought, while I'm thinking of it, might as well do it now. I'm just assembling the scene as I will have it later so that I know where to place my sentiment. I will be using the Seaside Girls sentiment, and there I'm just placing the stamps, trying to make sure it's straight. Moving it back and forth, but keeps getting stuck to my finger. Now I'm just starting over. Oh, it's a pesky little one. Now we've got it. Totally forgot to use magnets, but since I'm placing it in the corner, I knew where to put it back. But I did check one more time. I will be using the rich pale gold embossing powder from Wow, and now I'm just using some anti-static powder tool to remove any static cling. I'm using the Versamarker ink pad to ink up my stamp, and then I'm just stamping it on my panel. My heat gun is already heating up next to me, and now I'm putting on the gold embossing powder. Using a paintbrush to remove any excess powder. And I'm going to heat set this with my heat tool. Oh, I just love watching embossing powder melt, it's so good. There we go. Now I've already adhered my frames on top of each other. Now I'm just adding some liquid glue to the back of the frame. I've already layered all three cardstock frames I die cut. I'm adding some tape runner to the back of my panel because it was a little bit warped and I wanted the frame to be able to stick. So now I'm just placing it in the center and holding it down with 2 acrylic blocks to add some weight. Still pressing that down. There was one area that really didn't want to stick. Now I'm adding some glue to my hill. I cut it down to the size so that it would fit in the middle of my window. And now it's time to add my images. Here I'm adding my bee and a little bluebird. Hello, Bluebird. That's punny. I still thought it looked a bit empty. I had it finished there, but it needed a little bit more, so I ended up adding some crystals off camera and also stamping and heat embossing a bee line in gold. Thank you so much for watching. I would very much appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel. And until the next one, bye guys.